When a desperate father reaches the breaking point with his autistic son, a mysterious woman with unconventional methods walks into their chaotic home and changes everything. Their connection was meant to be professional, but as Maya's gentle rhythms calm not just Ollie's world, but Ethan's heart, jealousy and suspicion spread through their small coastal community like wildfire. Neighbors with cameras, an ex-wife with custody concerns, and a corporate board watching his every move threaten the fragile peace they've built, forcing Ethan to make an impossible choice between appearances and the love that saved his family. Will he choose the safe path of public perception, or risk everything for the woman who taught his son to speak without words? Subscribe now and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Would you choose love over reputation when everything is on the line? The wind whipped against the large windows of the cliffside home as Ethan Hale rubbed his tired eyes. At 30, with his tall frame and short brown hair, he looked older than his years. The stress of being both a successful tech company owner and a single dad showed in the dark circles under his blue eyes. "I can't do this anymore. I quit." The shrill voice of Mrs. Patterson, Ollie's fourth caregiver this year, cut through the air as she grabbed her purse and stormed toward the front door. 7-year-old Ollie sat on the kitchen floor, rocking back and forth, his small hands pressed tightly against his ears. The broken plate lay in pieces nearby. "Please, Mrs. Patterson, he didn't mean to," Ethan began. But the older woman was already halfway out the door. Mrs. Keene, the elderly housekeeper, who had been with the family for years, gently ushered Mrs. Patterson out while Ethan knelt beside his son. "It's okay, buddy. Deep breaths, remember? 1, 2, 3. Ethan tried counting, keeping his voice low and steady. Ollie rocked faster, his eyes squeezed shut. Mrs. Keene returned, her grey hair pulled back in its usual neat bun. "Mr. Hale, I know this is a bad time, but the new candidate is here for the interview." Ethan sighed. "Send her away. Look at this mess. Look at Ollie. This isn't the time." "Sir, this one has excellent references. Very discreet. Experienced with special needs children. And frankly," Mrs. Keene lowered her voice, "we're running out of options." Ethan glanced at Ollie, who continued rocking, then back at Mrs. Keene. "Fine, but make it clear this isn't a fix. We just need help getting through dinner." A few minutes later, Maya Brooks stood in the doorway of the kitchen. At 26, she carried herself with quiet confidence. Her dark skin glowed even in the dim light Ethan had set to help calm Ollie. Her curly black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a plain blue shirt and jeans. "Mr. Hale," she said softly, her warm brown eyes taking in the scene without judgment. "I'm Maya Brooks." Ethan nodded, not getting up from his spot near Ollie. Maya didn't rush forward or try to take over. Instead, she unzipped a small pouch she carried and placed a pair of noise-dampening earmuffs and some soft cloth napkins on the counter. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to the floor about 6 feet from Ollie. Ethan nodded, curious. Most caregivers immediately tried to touch or talk to Ollie, which only made things worse. Maya sat cross-legged on the floor, keeping her distance. She didn't force eye contact or speak to Ollie directly. Instead, she simply sat, gradually matching her breathing to the rhythm of Ollie's rocking. The minutes ticked by. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Ollie's rocking eased. His eyes remained closed, but his hands lowered slightly from his ears. Ethan watched, a mix of surprise and cautious hope on his face. 10 minutes later, Maya was still sitting quietly near Ollie in the doorway between the kitchen and hallway. The house had grown silent, except for the distant sound of waves crashing against the cliffs. A plate scraped against the counter as Mrs. Keene tried to clean up, and Ollie flinched. Maya reached for one of her soft napkins, folded it into a neat square, and placed it on the floor near Ollie without touching him. "A quiet square," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Then she began to hum, just one steady note, low and gentle. She added a soft tap with her fingertip against her knee. Tap, tap, tap. The rhythm was steady and predictable. Ethan watched in amazement as Ollie's rocking slowed even more. The boy's eyes opened slightly, glancing first at the napkin, then at Maya's tapping knee. Ethan reached for the light dimmer and lowered it further, making the room even softer. Maya continued her gentle hum and steady tapping. After a moment, Ollie tentatively raised his hand and tapped his own thigh, once, then twice, before looking toward Maya. She mirrored his movement exactly. Tapping her thigh in the same pattern Ollie had used, Ollie tapped again. Maya responded. Ethan knelt down to Ollie's level and cautiously copied the pattern. Tap, tap. For the first time in months, Ollie's body relaxed. His shoulders lowered and his breathing deepened. Would Ollie like to try some dinner? Maya asked, not looking directly at the boy but keeping her voice gentle. Mrs. Keene quietly prepared a small bowl of plain pasta. Ollie's preferred food when upset. Small steps, Maya whispered to Ethan. One bite is a victory. To Ethan's amazement, Ollie accepted the bowl and took 3 small bites, while Maya continued her gentle humming. Thank you, Ethan mouthed silently to Maya over Ollie's head. Outside, the ocean wind rattled the windows, but inside, a new calm had settled over the Hale home. Later that night, Ethan and Maya stood in the hallway outside Ollie's bedroom. The clock on the wall showed 9:15 p.m. Bedtime is usually our hardest time, Ethan explained, running a hand through his hair. He fights sleep until he's exhausted. Children like Ollie need consistency, Maya said. Would it be okay if I suggest a routine? Something simple we could do every night? Ethan nodded eagerly. Please, we'll keep the lights at this level, about 30%, Maya explained. We'll do our hum and tap for 2 minutes, then play the white noise track. I have one with ocean sounds that might work well here. You want me to lead while you support? Maya asked. Me? Ethan looked surprised. I've tried for years to develop routines. Nothing sticks. That's because you were doing it alone, Maya said with a gentle smile. Let's try together. They entered Ollie's blue bedroom where the boy sat on his bed, hands covering his ears as he sensed the change in routine. Watch his breathing, Maya whispered to Ethan. Match your tapping to his rhythm, not the other way around. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed and began to tap gently on his own knee. Maya hummed the same steady note from earlier. Less eye contact, Maya whispered, and stop before he needs you to. After 2 minutes of the gentle rhythm, Maya played the seashell track on a small speaker. Ollie hesitated, then slowly slid under his weighted blanket. That's it, Maya smiled. End on success. Out in the hallway, Maya quietly briefed Ethan. Tomorrow morning, same breakfast time, same hum cue. Consistency above all else. Mrs. Keene watched from the end of the hall, her expression cautious but impressed. By 9:45 p.m., Ollie was asleep to the sound of gentle waves. Ethan stood in the doorway, relief visible in every line of his body. The guest room next to the laundry is ready for you, Mrs. Keene told Maya, if you're staying. She's staying, Ethan said quickly, then added, if you want to, of course. Maya nodded. I'd like to help. Morning light filtered through the kitchen windows as Maya set out 2 identical bowls and spoons on the table. She placed plain yogurt in one small dish and banana slices in another. 2 options. Same presentation, she explained to Mrs. Keene. Too many choices can be overwhelming. Ethan entered wearing a pressed shirt and slacks, his expression tentative as he glanced at the clock. 6:55 a.m. Coffee? Mrs. Keene offered. Please, Ethan said, taking a seat at the table. Did Ollie sleep through the night? No disturbances, Maya confirmed with a smile. Soft footsteps padded into the kitchen as Ollie appeared, wearing his favorite blue pajamas and soft socks. His eyes were fixed on the moving light patterns on the wall. Maya hummed once, the same note as yesterday. To Ethan's surprise, Ollie approached the table and gently tapped Maya's open palm, his first clear request of the morning. Good morning. Ollie? Maya said softly as she sat down across from him. Ollie tried 2 spoonfuls of yogurt before sliding off his chair and walking to the window. He's done, Ethan said, starting to rise. That's okay, Maya assured him. We end on success. 2 bites is wonderful. Mrs. Keene brought Ethan his coffee. Progress already, she remarked, but then lowered her voice. Just so you know, Mrs. Walters across the lane tends to gossip when something looks interesting. New faces always qualify. Maya nodded her understanding. We focus on Ollie. The rest will sort itself out. At 8:30 a.m., Ethan headed to his home office while Maya quietly moved through the morning routine. She made mental notes of small victories. Ollie had tolerated the kettle whistle with his hands over his ears, but no meltdown. Progress. The doorbell's sharp buzz sent Ollie scrambling to cover his ears later that morning. They were in the sunlit living room when the delivery arrived. Maya quickly pulled out a small card she had made, showing 3 simple drawings, a doorbell, 2 taps on a knee, and musical notes. She pointed to each in sequence. Buzzer, 2 taps, she explained calmly as she demonstrated the tapping. Ollie watched her, then cautiously tapped his own knee twice. Maya hummed in response. The boy's shoulders relaxed. Ethan, who had come downstairs when he heard the doorbell, watched the interaction with amazement. "That's the first time he's recovered so quickly," he said after the delivery person left. "Will you stay beyond the trial week? We can discuss salary, benefits, whatever you need." Maya placed the 3-step card on a small hook by the door before answering. "I'd like to stay," she said, "but I need to be clear about something." She met Ethan's gaze directly. "I'm here for Ollie. We keep it simple and consistent. If your public image or anything else gets in the way of what Ollie needs, I step back." "Understood," Ethan agreed immediately. "Ollie comes first." They shared a relieved laugh as they stood near the bay window. For the first time since Maya arrived, Ethan's face showed genuine hope rather than just exhaustion. Across the lane, Mrs. Walters lifted her phone and snapped a photo of their brief, relaxed moment. The timestamp read 11:28 a.m. Mrs. Keene's expression was grim as she showed Ethan her phone later that afternoon. On the screen was a social media post with the photo Mrs. Walters had taken. The caption read, "Local tech millionaire Ethan Hale moves on fast. New girlfriend already playing house?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "This is exactly what I don't need right now. The company's launching a new product next month, and the board watches my public image carefully. We keep our focus on Ollie," Maya said calmly as she prepared a small snack in the kitchen pantry. "So that's all that matters." She demonstrated the hum and tap pattern before setting down the plate of apple slices. To everyone's surprise, Ollie picked up a spoon and brought it to Maya, a small but significant gesture of invitation. "He's connecting," Mrs. Keene whispered. Ethan watched, his worry about the photo temporarily forgotten. "How can I be part of this without overwhelming him?" He asked Maya. "Mirror his movements," Maya explained. "Pause before touching anything. Let him lead the interaction," she demonstrated by waiting for Ollie to tap the table before she tapped in response. "It's like a conversation without words," Ethan realized. Maya nodded. "Exactly." Later that afternoon, Ollie sat on the patio tracing sun patterns on the table with his finger. Ethan cautiously tapped once on the table edge. After a moment, Ollie tapped back. Ethan's face broke into a wide smile as he glanced at Maya, who watched from the doorway. On Mrs. Keene's phone, Mrs. Walters' post continued to gain comments, but inside the Hale home, a new kind of communication was taking root. "What is going on here, Ethan?" The sharp voice cut through the peaceful afternoon. Vanessa Hale, Ethan's ex-wife, stood in the front entry at 4:45 p.m. At 29, she was strikingly beautiful, with her blonde hair and tailored business suit. Her blue eyes, so like Ollie's, were narrowed with suspicion. "I see the gossip reached you too," Ethan sighed. "Vanessa, this is Maya Brooks, Ollie's new caregiver." "New caregiver or new girlfriend?" Vanessa asked coolly, glancing between them. "The whole neighborhood's talking." "Ms. Hale," Maya stepped forward, keeping her voice calm and professional. "I understand your concern. I'm here solely for Ollie's benefit." Vanessa's expression softened slightly when she looked at Maya, but her worry remained clear. "I'm concerned about attachment risks. These unorthodox methods, would you like to observe?" Maya offered. "No jargon, no forced interactions. We simply honor Ollie's cues." Vanessa hesitated, then nodded. They moved to the living room where Ollie was arranging colored blocks in a line. When he noticed their presence, he tapped his knee twice and looked at Maya. She hummed in response. The same steady note as before. Ollie's body visibly relaxed as he returned to his blocks. "That's," Vanessa began, her voice catching. "That's the calmest I've seen him in months." "He's telling us what he needs," Maya explained. "We're just listening." "Still," Vanessa said, regaining her composure, "I think we should consider more traditional approaches. I've been researching intensive programs." "Let's take it one day at a time," Ethan suggested gently. "For now, this is working." At dinner, Ollie ate 3 bites of rice and chicken before wandering to the window. The routine held steady. Vanessa left at 7:15 p.m. with a promise to review options and call tomorrow. "That went better than expected," Ethan admitted as he and Maya cleaned up the kitchen. "She cares about Ollie," Maya said. "That's what matters most." The house quieted as evening settled in. By 8:40 p.m., Ollie was asleep, and a new sense of possibility hung in the air of the Hale home. The next morning brought another small victory. Ollie accepted a new fruit, pear slices, at breakfast. Ethan helped with the meal preparation, as Maya coached him to move slowly and speak softly. "I think we should put the routine on the fridge," Mrs. Keene suggested. "Make it official." "Good idea," Maya agreed. "Visual reminders help everyone stay consistent." Ethan briefly checked his phone, his expression darkening as he saw more comments about the photo. He quickly pocketed the device, choosing to stay present instead. "What do you think about a short walk today?" Maya asked. "The seaside lookout is close, and we could go at a low traffic time." Ethan looked uncertain. "Ollie hasn't been comfortable outside in months." "We'll bring the earmuffs and take it slow," Maya assured him. "If it's too much, we come right back." At 1:10 p.m. they stood at the seaside lookout. The wind was mild, and the view of the ocean stretched endlessly before them. Ollie stood between Ethan and Maya, his face tilted toward the sun. Then, to Ethan's amazement, Ollie tapped his hand once. Without hesitation, Ethan hummed the note he'd heard Maya use so many times. Ollie smiled, a small, fleeting expression that nonetheless sent warmth spreading through Ethan's chest. As they walked home, Ethan found himself watching Maya. She moved with such natural grace and confidence. Her patience with Ollie seemed boundless, and her smile Ethan caught himself. She was Ollie's caregiver, he reminded himself sternly. Nothing more. But when Maya caught his eye and smiled, something shifted in Ethan's heart. For the first time since Ollie's diagnosis, since Vanessa had left claiming she couldn't handle it, Ethan felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could build something good here, something that felt like family. Late afternoon sunlight slanted through the living room windows, casting golden patterns across the floor. Maya sat cross-legged on the carpet, watching as Ollie arranged his toy cars in a perfect line. 4 days had passed since her arrival, and small signs of progress appeared daily. Mrs. Keene entered with a worried frown. "Mr. Hale, you might want to see this." She handed Ethan her phone. On the screen was a community chat group, where Mrs. Walters had posted again, "Day 4 of the Hale House romance. Moving fast. Wonder what the ex thinks." Ethan's shoulders tensed. "This is getting out of hand. Don't let it distract you," Maya said softly. "We're making real progress with Ollie." As if to prove her point, Ollie picked up a blue car and held it out toward Ethan, a rare direct interaction. Ethan's face brightened as he slowly took the car. "Thank you, buddy." Mrs. Keene clicked her tongue. "Some foundation board members are starting to whisper. Your family has been major donors for years, and they worry about appearances." "My personal life shouldn't matter to the foundation," Ethan said firmly. "Besides, there's nothing going on." Maya kept her eyes on Ollie, pretending not to notice the quick glance Ethan shot her way. "What matters is that Ollie had less than 3 minutes of distress all morning," she pointed out. "That's our victory." Mrs. Keene nodded. "True, and he's sleeping through the night now." "We've set dinner for 5:30, Maya reminded them, smoothly changing the subject. "Same steps as yesterday." Ollie tapped his knee twice, now his clear signal for the hum. Maya responded with the familiar note, and Ollie's body relaxed. "How do you know exactly what he needs?" Ethan asked softly. Maya smiled. "I'm just paying attention. When I was 15, my cousin came to live with us. He had similar sensory needs. I spent years learning to read his signals. You have professional training?" Ethan asked. Maya shook her head. "No certificates, no degrees in special education. Just years of watching and listening. That's worth more than any degree," Ethan said warmly. Outside the window, Mrs. Walters walked past with her phone at the ready. Ethan deliberately turned his back to the window. "Ollie comes first," he said firmly. "Everything else is just noise." The kitchen was quiet except for the soft clink of spoons against ceramic as Ollie finished his dinner. He placed his spoon near Maya's plate, his sign of trust that they had all learned to recognize. "Good job, buddy," Ethan said softly. "3 bites of something new." Ollie slid from his chair and wandered to the living room, where the fading light made gentle shadows on the wall. "I'll start his bedtime routine in 20 minutes, Maya said, beginning to clear the dishes. Later, after Ollie was asleep, Ethan found Maya in the kitchen making tea. The house was quiet, wrapped in the peaceful darkness that had been so rare before her arrival. "Join me?" Maya asked, holding up a second mug. Ethan nodded, taking a seat at the kitchen island. I keep waiting for things to fall apart again, he admitted. It feels too good to be true. Progress isn't always linear, Maya replied, sliding a mug of chamomile tea toward him. There will be hard days. But we're building a foundation now. Ethan repeated softly. A week ago I was drowning alone. Their eyes met across the island and something shifted in the air between them. Maya, Ethan began hesitantly. I know this is just a job for you, but it's not just a job, Maya interrupted gently. I care about Ollie and... She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. I care about this home we're creating together. Ethan's heart skipped. I feel the same way. They sipped their tea in comfortable silence, neither rushing to fill the quiet moment with words. I'm writing a simple card for Vanessa, Maya said eventually. Something explaining our hum and tap sequence. I think it would help if visits between homes felt consistent for Ollie. That's thoughtful, Ethan said, impressed by her consideration. Vanessa can be protective, but she loves Ollie. Of course she does, Maya agreed. She's his mother. Ethan smiled gratefully. Many caregivers had spoken poorly of Vanessa after meeting her, focusing on her sharp manner rather than her love for Ollie. It's getting late, Maya said, rinsing her empty mug. I should get some rest. Of course, Ethan said, suddenly aware of how domestic their evening had become. Thank you for everything. As Maya headed toward her room, Ethan found himself pausing at Ollie's doorway. On instinct, he hummed once, the note he'd heard Maya use so often. From his bed, Ollie sighed softly in his sleep. The house settled into night, peaceful and secure. At first light, routines reset exactly as posted on the fridge. Maya's words from yesterday proved true as morning dawned. She was already in the kitchen preparing breakfast when Ethan came downstairs at 6:45 a.m., his hair still damp from the shower. Coffee's ready, Maya said with a smile. Ollie should be up in about 15 minutes if yesterday's pattern holds. The kettle began to whistle, and Maya quickly removed it before the sound grew too loud. She had learned that the high-pitched noise bothered Ollie significantly. You're getting good at anticipating triggers, Ethan observed, pouring his coffee. Small adjustments make big differences, Maya replied. Oh, and Vanessa texted. She's stopping by at 11 to watch our morning routine. Ethan's eyebrows rose. She's taking this seriously. That's good, Maya said firmly. Consistency across both homes will help Ollie tremendously. When Vanessa arrived promptly at 11, she seemed more open than during her last visit. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore jeans instead of her usual business attire. I want to see how it all works, she explained, setting her purse down. The routine, the signals, everything. Maya showed her the 3-step cards she'd made for different situations: mealtime, transitions, unexpected noises. Visual cues help everyone stay on the same page, she explained. When Ollie entered the room, he immediately tapped his knee twice. That means he wants the hum, Maya explained to Vanessa. It's his way of asking for comfort. Maya hummed the familiar note, and Ollie visibly relaxed. Tears glistened in Vanessa's eyes. He's actually communicating what he needs. He always was, Maya said gently. We just needed to learn his language. As Ollie arranged blocks on the coffee table, Vanessa whispered, I worry about him becoming too dependent on these specific cues. It's not dependence, Maya explained. It's creating a bridge. Eventually the bridge becomes part of the landscape. I want to learn, Vanessa said, her voice stronger now. Show me how to do the hum exactly right. Maya smiled and began to demonstrate, guiding Vanessa through the simple technique that had changed everything for Ollie. At 12:15 p.m., as Vanessa prepared to leave, Maya handed her a small folder labeled For Vanessa. Inside was a duplicate set of routine cards. Thank you, Vanessa said, her usual cool demeanor softened. I didn't expect this level of partnership. We're all on Ollie's team, Maya replied simply. As Vanessa's car pulled away, Ethan turned to Maya with an expression of wonder. You know, when Vanessa and I separated, I never thought we'd work together like this again. Sometimes it takes a third perspective, Maya said with a smile. Lunch began at 12:30 p.m., right on schedule. Another day of steady progress unfolded. Local paparazzi still hanging around? The teasing voice belonged to Noah Trent, Ethan's oldest friend, who stood on the back patio at 1:40 p.m. Tall with sandy hair and friendly eyes, Noah had known Ethan since college. Mrs. Walters is relentless, Ethan sighed. stepping outside to greet his friend with a quick hug. Through the glass doors, they could see Maya sitting on the floor near Ollie, who was arranging toy cars in perfect lines across the living room carpet. She was softly narrating his actions, matching one car to his pace. "So that's her," Noah said quietly. "The miracle worker I've been hearing about." "Maya," Ethan corrected. "And yes, she's incredible." Noah studied his friend's face closely. "So you like her?" "It's not like that," Ethan protested, but his reddening ears gave him away. "Sure, buddy," Noah laughed. "Look, can we talk for a minute?" Privately, they moved to the far corner of the patio, where the ocean breeze carried their words away from the house. "I saw the posts," Noah said, his expression growing serious. "People are talking, Eth." "Let them talk," Ethan shrugged. "Maya and I are focused on Ollie." "I know, but—" Noah hesitated. "Optics matter sometimes, especially with your company going public next year. What are you suggesting?" Ethan frowned. "Maybe set some boundaries with Mrs. Walters. A polite conversation about privacy?" Ethan shook his head firmly. "Engaging will only make it worse. Besides, any confrontation would disrupt the peace we've built for Ollie." "Fair enough," Noah conceded. "Just watching out for you, man." Inside, a breeze from the open window flipped the neighbors' wind chimes. The tinkling sound made Ollie flinch. Without missing a beat, Maya hummed their special note and Ollie's shoulders relaxed. "She really does have a gift," Noah observed quietly. "More than that," Ethan replied. "She has patience, understanding." He paused, then added softly, "She sees Ollie, really sees him." Noah clapped a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "I'm happy for you, Eth. All of you." "Crack egg." Ethan spoke the simple two-word direction as he carefully broke an egg into a bowl. It was 5:10 p.m., and he was preparing a simple dinner under Maya's guidance. "Stir slow," he continued, keeping his voice steady and calm. Ollie watched from his place at the table, seemingly fascinated by the rhythmic motion of the whisk. "Short. Clear directions help anchor transitions," Maya explained quietly to Mrs. Keene. "It gives Ollie predictability." The kitchen felt warm and homey, filled with the smell of cooking and the gentle sounds of their evening routine. When the simple omelette was ready, Ethan placed a small portion on Ollie's plate. To everyone's delight, Ollie took a bite and briefly smiled. "Oh my," Mrs. Keene whispered, quickly grabbing her phone. "May I take a picture?" "Just for the fridge, no posting." Ethan nodded, his own smile so wide it made his cheeks hurt. Maya stood slightly apart, watching the family moment with quiet satisfaction. This was why she did this work, these precious glimpses of connection and joy. Ethan caught her eye across the kitchen and mouthed, "Thank you." Later, after dinner, they sat in the living room as the last daylight faded. Ethan used his hands to create shadow puppets on the wall, something he remembered from his own childhood. A dog. Rabbit, a bird in flight. Ollie watched, transfixed, and then unexpectedly giggled. The sound was so rare and beautiful that both Ethan and Maya froze for a moment, not wanting to break the spell. Slowly, Ethan made the shadow rabbit hop again, and Ollie's giggle returned. Soft but unmistakable. "This is the best day," Ethan whispered to Maya as they followed the bedtime routine later. "I can't remember the last time I heard him laugh." Maya's eyes shone with shared joy. Every child deserves laughter. As the house settled into night, with lights lowering at 8:30 p.m., a sense of rightness hung in the air, as if the home itself was finally breathing properly. The morning after their best evening yet dawned bright and clear. Sunshine streamed through the breakfast nook windows as Ethan checked his email on his tablet. His relaxed expression suddenly tightened. "Problem?" Maya asked, setting out Ollie's breakfast options. A freelance society blogger emailed asking about the new romance at the Hale house. Ethan sighed. "This is getting ridiculous." Without replying to the email, Ethan switched off his tablet. "I'm going device-free today. The company can survive without me for one day." "Good decision," Maya approved. "Being present is more important." The morning unfolded peacefully, with Ollie trying a new food texture and even initiating the tap and hum sequence himself when the garbage truck's noise startled him. By early afternoon, however, the bubble of peace burst when Mrs. Keene hurried in. Her face creased with worry. "Mr. Hale, you need to see this," she said, holding out her phone. On the screen was a long lens photo that made it appear as if Ethan and Maya were embracing intimately. In reality, they had simply been passing a bowl across the kitchen that morning. The caption read, "Tech millionaire's nanny situation looks cozy. Sources say ex-wife concerned." "This is crossing a line," Ethan growled. Before he could say more, his phone rang. Vanessa's name flashed on the screen. The conversation was brief but tense. Ethan's responses moved from defensive to resigned as he paced the living room. "No, there's nothing inappropriate happening," he insisted. "Yes, I understand how it looks. No, I don't think this affects custody arrangements." When he hung up, his face was grim. "Vanessa's worried about custody optics. She's not threatening to sue, but she's preparing just in case." Maya noticed the tension in Ethan's shoulders immediately. "We protect Ollie's quiet first," she reminded him gently. "Everything else is secondary." Ethan took a deep breath and nodded. "You're right. Let's keep the afternoon routine exactly as planned." But as the day wore on, Maya could see the worry building behind Ethan's eyes. "Maybe you should take a few days off." The words hung in the air of the den where Ethan and Maya stood at 4:20 p.m. Outside, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the yard. "Excuse me," Maya asked, not sure she had heard correctly. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, his expression pained. "Just until this blows over. The photos, the rumors, it's getting out of control." "Ethan," Maya said carefully, "consistency is crucial for Ollie right now. We've only just established these routines." I know, Ethan sighed, checking his phone again as more notifications appeared. "But my company is launching a major product next month. The board is concerned about my public image, and now Vanessa is worried about custody implications." Maya felt a familiar heaviness settle in her chest. She had seen this before, the moment when outside pressures overshadowed a child's needs. "This isn't about the photos," she said quietly. "This is about fear." Ethan looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" "You're afraid," Maya said gently. "Not of gossip, but of how well things are going. Of depending on something good that might disappear." The truth of her words seemed to hit Ethan like a physical blow. He sank into a chair, his shoulders slumping. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "You're right, but I still think maybe a few days would help clear the air." Maya's heart ached, but she kept her voice steady. "If that's what you want, I'll leave after Ollie's bedtime. I won't disrupt his evening routine." She moved to the desk and began writing on index cards. "I'll prepare step-by-step routines for you. Breakfast sequence, transition cues, the hum and tap method, bedtime." "Maya," Ethan began. "It's okay," she interrupted softly. "I understand. But Ethan, remember that Ollie comes first, always." For the rest of the afternoon, they maintained the routine for Ollie's sake, though a new tension hung in the air. Maya was professional and warm with Ollie, but Ethan noticed she avoided meeting his eyes. By bedtime, Ollie seemed to sense the shift. He tapped more frequently, seeking the reassurance of Maya's hum. After Ollie finally fell asleep at 9 p.m., Maya placed her carefully written index cards on the kitchen counter. She had packed a small overnight bag, which now waited by the front door. "I've written everything down," she told Mrs. Keene, who watched with sad eyes. "And I'm reachable by phone if there are questions." "This is a mistake," Mrs. Keene said bluntly. "But it's not my decision," Maya nodded. "Take care of them." Ethan stood awkwardly in the kitchen doorway. "Maya, it's all right," she said, though her eyes told a different story. "Sometimes we need space to see clearly." She slipped out the front door into the drizzling night, the soft click of the latch echoing in the sudden silence of the house. Only 10 hours have passed. The absence is immediate. The kitchen felt strangely empty the next morning as Ethan attempted breakfast alone. The clock read 6:50 a.m., and Ollie would be up any minute. Ethan studied Maya's index card. Breakfast sequence: 1. Prepare options before Ollie enters. 2. Dim lights to 40%. 3. When Ollie appears, hum once, then wait. The kettle whistled, startling Ethan. He quickly removed it from the heat, remembering how Maya always caught it before the sound grew too loud. When Ollie padded into the kitchen, Ethan tried to hum the familiar note. It came out slightly off-key and Ollie's face scrunched in confusion. "Sorry, buddy," Ethan murmured, checking the card again. "Inhale. Hum. Tap." He tried once more, and this time the note was closer. Ollie relaxed slightly and took a seat at the table, but as the morning wore on, small frictions accumulated. The doorbell rang for a package delivery, triggering Ollie's distress. The hum didn't work as well from Ethan, and Ollie's meltdown lasted nearly 10 minutes. By noon, Ethan felt the familiar desperation returning, the helplessness he'd lived with before Maya arrived. What happened with Miss Brooks? Mrs. Keene asked as she helped clean up lunch. I got scared, Ethan admitted. The rumors, Vanessa's concerns, the company. It all seemed too complicated. Mrs. Keene fixed him with a stern look. Mr. Hale, you didn't hire a miracle. Your son discovered one in her. The truth of her words settled heavily on Ethan's shoulders. By dinner, Ollie was struggling more visibly. He refused food and rocked in the corner of the dining room, hands over his ears. Ethan tried everything on Maya's cards, the hum, the tap, the counting, but his delivery lacked her natural rhythm. Without Maya's calming presence, the house felt jagged and harsh again. At 8:15 p.m., after finally getting Ollie to sleep, Ethan stood alone on the dark patio. The night air was cool against his face as he stared at his phone, Maya's number on the screen. He typed a message, then deleted it. Typed again. Finally, he wrote simply, I chose optics over Ollie. I was wrong. Please come back, not as help, but as a partner in his life. We'll do it your way. Ollie first. His thumb hovered over the send button as doubt and hope waged war in his heart. The right choice had never been clearer, yet somehow also never harder to make. Taking a deep breath, Ethan closed his eyes and pressed send. Ethan's phone remained silent for what felt like the longest hour of his life. He paced the dark patio, checking the screen every few minutes, wondering if Maya had already moved on. Maybe she'd found another family, one that valued her skills more than he had. At 9:15 p.m., the phone finally lit up with her reply, I'll come tomorrow at 10 a.m. We set clear terms. Relief washed over him like a wave. He hadn't ruined everything after all. He had a chance to make things right. Ethan slept lightly that night, his mind racing with thoughts of what to say when Maya returned. He checked on Ollie twice, finding his son sleeping restlessly without the comfort of their now familiar routine. Before heading to his own bed, Ethan carefully arranged Maya's routine cards near the kettle. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow he would get it right. Roughly 12 hours after the apology, the doorbell rang. Ethan opened the front door at precisely 9:58 a.m. to find Maya standing on the porch. She wore a simple yellow blouse and jeans, her curly hair framing her face. Her expression was composed but cautious. Thank you for coming back, Ethan said quietly, stepping aside to let her in. Maya entered, setting down her small overnight bag. Before I stay, we need to talk. They moved to the kitchen where Mrs. Keene was preparing coffee. The older woman's face lit up at the sight of Maya. Thank goodness, Mrs. Keene said, handing Maya a mug. This house needs you. It's good to see you too, Maya smiled briefly before turning back to Ethan. I want to be clear about my conditions. Ethan nodded. Of course. First, Ollie's needs come before public image, always, Maya stated firmly. No more sending me away when things get complicated. Absolutely, Ethan agreed immediately. Second, no public statements or responses to rumors. They feed the fire. Ethan nodded again. Third, we work toward consistent routines across both homes, yours and Vanessa's. Maya's eyes were steady. Ollie deserves continuity. Yes to all of it, Ethan said. I was wrong, Maya. I let fear drive my decisions, and I hurt both you and Ollie in the process. Maya's expression softened slightly. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them. Mrs. Keene cleared her throat. Vanessa texted. She's planning to visit at 4 to check on Ollie. Perfect timing, Maya said. She should be part of this reset. They spent the next hour planning the day, a short outdoor transition after lunch, snack practice, and a full bedtime reset in the evening. Where is Ollie now? Maya asked, glancing toward the living room. In his room, Ethan replied. He had a rough morning. As if on cue, soft footsteps padded into the kitchen. Ollie stood in the doorway, his blue eyes widening when he saw Maya. For a moment he simply stared, as if making sure she was really there. Then he approached and did something that brought tears to Ethan's eyes. He tapped Maya's palm twice, their special signal. Maya hummed the familiar note. Ethan joined on the second beat, and the simple harmony filled the kitchen. Ollie's shoulders relaxed, and the tension that had gripped the house for the past day melted away. "Welcome home," Ethan whispered to Maya over Ollie's head. Her eyes met his, and though she didn't reply, the small smile that curved her lips gave Ethan hope. Early afternoon sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows as Maya set up for lunch. It was 1 p.m., and she was demonstrating what she called scaffolding to Ethan. 2-bite rule, then break, she explained, placing a small portion of macaroni and cheese on Ollie's plate. Predictability first, variety later. "I tried to follow your cards yesterday," Ethan admitted. "But it wasn't the same." "It takes practice," Maya assured him. "And consistency." When Ollie entered, he went straight to his usual chair. His eyes darted between Maya and Ethan, still seeming unsure if everything was back to normal. Maya hummed their note, and Ollie visibly relaxed. "Lunchtime," she said softly. 2 bites, then break if you want." Ollie picked up his fork and cautiously took a bite of macaroni. After the second bite, he touched the window frame, his signal that he was done. "Perfect," Maya nodded, removing the plate without comment. "He ate more yesterday," Ethan observed quietly. "It's not about quantity," Maya reminded him. "It's about feeling safe enough to try. After yesterday's disruption, he needs to rebuild trust in the routine." Ethan nodded, watching as Ollie moved to the living room window. The boy's movements seemed less agitated today, his shoulders more relaxed. "I think we should post the routine cards somewhere permanent," Ethan suggested, "so everyone can follow them exactly." "Good idea," Maya agreed. A clear sleeve on the fridge would protect them. As they worked together to organize the cards, Ethan noticed Maya occasionally glancing his way when she thought he wasn't looking. Each time their hands accidentally touched, a small jolt of awareness passed between them. Through the window, they spotted Mrs. Walters walking by, phone in hand as usual. "Ignore her," Maya said calmly. "Our focus stays inside these walls." Ethan nodded, turning his back to the window. "Ollie first." "Ollie first," Maya echoed with a smile. At exactly 4 p.m., Vanessa arrived. She looked polished as always in her tailored slacks and silk blouse, but her expression was softer than usual. "I heard there was some disruption yesterday," she said carefully, glancing between Ethan and Maya. "A temporary setback," Ethan replied. "Maya has agreed to return with clear boundaries, which I've accepted." "Good." Vanessa seemed relieved. "Ollie needs stability. Would you like to see our full routine sequence?" Maya offered. "It might help to understand exactly how it works." Vanessa nodded eagerly. "That's why I'm here." They moved to the living room where Ollie was arranging colored blocks by size. Maya sat on the floor a few feet away from him. "First, watch for his cue," Maya explained quietly to Vanessa. "He'll tap twice when he wants the hum." Sure enough, after a few minutes, Ollie tapped his knee twice. "Now I respond with the hum," Maya demonstrated, producing the familiar note. "Ethan often joins in, creating harmony." Ethan hummed along, and Ollie's body visibly relaxed. "The key is keeping it brief. 2 minutes maximum." Then a pause, Maya continued. "We only repeat if he requests it again." "Can I try?" Vanessa asked hesitantly. "Of course," Maya smiled. When Ollie tapped again a few minutes later, Vanessa produced the hum. Her note was shaky at first, but she quickly found the right pitch. To everyone's amazement, Ollie turned slightly toward his mother, a subtle acknowledgement that brought tears to Vanessa's eyes. "He heard me," she whispered. "He's always hearing you," Maya said gently. "Now you're speaking his language." As the afternoon continued, Vanessa practiced the techniques under Maya's guidance. Her initial skepticism melted away as she witnessed Ollie's responses. "I was afraid," Vanessa admitted quietly, while Ollie was occupied with his blocks. "I thought I was being replaced, that I wouldn't know how to connect with my own son." "No one is replacing you," Maya assured her. "We're just adding safe notes to his world, not subtracting people who love him." By 6:10 p.m., as Vanessa prepared to leave, her entire demeanor had changed. She accepted the laminated routine card Maya offered with genuine gratitude. "I'll mirror these exact steps tonight," she promised. "Same bedtime, same sequence." As she hugged Ollie goodbye, a brief, gentle touch that he accepted without tension, Vanessa caught Ethan's eye. "You found something special here," she said quietly. "Don't let fear mess it up again." Ethan nodded, understanding that she meant both the routine and Maya herself. The setting sun cast long shadows across the front yard as Vanessa's car pulled away. Inside, a newfound sense of partnership had taken root. Dinner that evening felt particularly peaceful. The three of them sat at the table, while soft music played in the background. A new addition to their routine that Ollie seemed to enjoy. Through the front window, Ethan spotted Mrs. Walters lingering on the sidewalk, phone in hand. For a moment, the old anxiety flared in his chest. What would she post tonight? Who would see it? How might it affect the company's upcoming product launch? Then he looked at Ollie, calmly taking his third bite of pasta, and at Maya, whose steady presence had transformed their home. He made his choice. Setting his phone to Do Not Disturb, Ethan turned his full attention to his family. "Pass the water, please," he said with exaggerated clarity, making Ollie smile at the simple routine. Ollie finished eating early, as usual. He tapped twice and headed to his favorite spot by the window. Without missing a beat, Ethan hummed from the table while Maya tapped her knee in rhythm. Ollie's body relaxed as he gazed out at the darkening sky. "See that?" Maya whispered. "Presence beats performance every time." Later, after Ollie's bedtime had gone smoothly, Ethan and Maya sat at the kitchen island with cups of tea. The house was quiet, wrapped in the peaceful silence they'd worked so hard to create. "Thank you for coming back," Ethan said softly. "I came back for Ollie," Maya replied, then added with a small smile, "but I stayed for both of you." Ethan's heart skipped. "Maya, She gently touched his hand. "We protect the quiet we've built first. Everything else can grow slowly, naturally." He nodded, understanding. There was no rush, no need to label or define what was developing between them. Like their work with Ollie, this too would unfold at its own perfect pace. Outside, the stars emerged one by one in the night sky, each finding its place in the greater pattern. The following morning begins on the same note. Maya was already in the kitchen at 7:05 a.m. preparing breakfast options. The routine had held strong through the night. With Ollie sleeping peacefully until his usual wake-up time, Ethan entered with damp hair from his shower, looking more rested than he had in days. "Mrs. Keene printed this," he said, holding up a weekly schedule. "Breakfast 7:15, outdoor walk on low-traffic days at 1, dinner 6, school bedtime 8:30. Maya reviewed it with approval. "I like the flexibility notes. Stop before he needs to, that's important." "I added that part," Ethan said with a smile. "I've been paying attention." As they worked side by side preparing breakfast, Ethan found himself studying Maya's profile, the gentle curve of her cheek, the determined set of her jaw, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled. "What are you thinking about?" Maya asked, catching his gaze. "The future," Ethan replied honestly. "Not big plans or programs, just steady days like this one." "Presence over performance." Maya's expression softened. "That sounds perfect." "Maya," Ethan began, his voice low and serious, "I need to be honest about something." She turned to face him fully. "What is it?" "I'm falling for you," he said simply. "Not because you've helped Ollie, though I'm eternally grateful for that, but because of who you are, your patience, your wisdom, your heart." Maya didn't look away. "I have feelings for you too, Ethan, but Ollie comes first," he finished for her. "Always." "Yes," she agreed with a smile. "We move forward slowly, respectfully, with him at the center. I wouldn't want it any other way," Ethan assured her. Before Maya could respond, Ollie padded into the kitchen in his soft blue pajamas, his hair tousled from sleep. "Good morning." "Sunshine." Maya greeted him warmly. Ollie approached the table, and for the first time since Maya had arrived, he pulled out his own chair and sat down without prompting. Ethan and Maya exchanged a look of quiet triumph, another small victory to celebrate. Later that afternoon, they took their regular walk to the seaside lookout. The ocean spread before them, vast and calm under a clear blue sky. Standing between them, Ollie did something new. He took both their hands and tapped once on each. Together, Ethan and Maya hummed their note, creating a perfect harmony that seemed to float on the salt air. In that moment, standing at the edge of the cliff, with the endless horizon before them, Ethan felt a certainty he'd never experienced before. This was what family should feel like. This was home. The backyard was bathed in late afternoon sunlight at 4:30 p.m. when Vanessa arrived for their planned joint practice session. She looked different somehow, more relaxed, with her hair loose around her shoulders and a genuine smile on her face. "Ollie slept through the night," she announced proudly. "I used the hum exactly as you showed me and it worked." "That's wonderful," Maya beamed. "Would you like to practice together today?" We can take turns leading the sequence. For the next hour, they worked as a team, with Vanessa and Maya alternating leading the hum while Ethan supported with the tap count. Ollie responded beautifully to both women, proving that the system could work across both homes. "I've started a binder," Maya explained, showing Vanessa the toolbox she'd created. "Cards, notes on triggers, what's helped, everything in one place so we're all consistent." "This is amazing," Vanessa said, flipping through the pages. "I can't believe how much you've accomplished in such a short time." A knock at the gate interrupted their session. Noah stood there with a friendly wave. "Hope I'm not intruding," he called. "Not at all," Ethan replied, opening the gate. "Come meet everyone properly." Noah entered with a small toolkit in hand. "I brought some supplies to install that privacy screen we talked about," he explained. "Figured it might help reduce sidewalk gawking." He greeted Vanessa with a warm handshake, then turned to Maya with a genuine smile. "So you're the miracle worker I've heard so much about," Maya laughed. "No miracles, just patience and consistency. And a gift for understanding, Ollie," Vanessa added sincerely. "We're all learning from her." Noah's eyebrows rose slightly at Vanessa's endorsement. "Well, I came to apologize for joking about the paparazzi situation the other day." Ethan explained how disruptive all that attention has been. "Water under the bridge," Maya assured him. "The privacy screen is a perfect solution," Ethan said. "Practical and quiet." As Noah set to work installing the simple bamboo screen along the fence line, the others continued their practice session. There was an ease between them now, a shared purpose that transcended old tensions and misunderstandings. By 6:45 p.m., as the evening light began to fade, Mrs. Keene appeared with a camera. "Time for the first family photo for the fridge," she announced. Nothing posed, just a moment to remember. Rather than arranging them in a traditional pose, she captured a simple, powerful image. 3 hands and 1 small hand, all touching in the tap that had become their special signal. "Perfect," Mrs. Keene declared, showing them the picture on her digital camera. "This goes right beside the routine sleeve." As they looked at the image together, Ethan felt a surge of gratitude so strong it nearly overwhelmed him. In just 2 weeks, their fractured existence had transformed into something beautiful and whole. Maya caught his eye and smiled, as if reading his thoughts. The connection between them seemed to deepen with each passing day, growing stronger in the quiet spaces they created together. Outside, the evening light painted the cliffs and ocean in shades of gold and purple. Inside, a family was finding its rhythm at last. The living room was bathed in soft lamplight at 8 p.m. as they began the final bedtime routine of the day. The house now felt truly like a home. Softer bulbs had replaced harsh overhead lighting, sound-absorbing panels softened echoes, and predictable textures created a sensory-friendly environment. Through the window, they spotted Mrs. Walters walking past. She paused briefly, scanning the yard and windows. But finding nothing exciting to film, she continued on her way. "Looks like your privacy screen is already working," Maya noted with satisfaction. Ethan's phone chimed with a text. He checked it quickly, then showed the screen to Maya with a smile. It was from Vanessa, a photo of Ollie's room at her house set up with the same soft lighting and sound machine they used. The caption read, "Ready for his weekend visit." "Thank you both." "That's wonderful," Maya said warmly. Ollie sat on the floor arranging his blocks in a perfect line. The day's activities had tired him, and his movements were slower, more deliberate. "Almost bedtime, buddy," Ethan said gently. 5 more minutes with blocks, then we'll head upstairs." Ollie nodded slightly, another new response that made Ethan's heart swell. As Maya supervised Ollie's block play, Ethan watched them both, overcome with the certainty that his next words would change everything. "Maya," he said quietly when she glanced his way, "I know it's only been 2 weeks, but I've never been more sure of anything in my life." She looked at him questioningly. "Build a life with me," he said simply. "Here with Ollie, slow and honest like we promised." Maya's eyes widened, but before she could respond, Ollie approached and tapped her palm twice. She automatically hummed their note, buying herself a moment to think. When Ollie moved away again, she turned back to Ethan. "Are you sure? This isn't just gratitude or relief talking?" "I've never been more certain," Ethan replied. "You belong here with us, if you want to be." Maya's smile bloomed slowly, lighting up her entire face. "Yes," she said. "With one condition." Ollie first, always. They finished together. Their shared laughter was soft and warm in the quiet room. Later, after following their bedtime routine to perfection, they finalized their shared weekly plan, alternating dinners with Vanessa's home using identical routines, a Sunday seaside walk as a family tradition, and, most importantly, no public posts or statements. Privacy would protect the delicate peace they'd built together. In Ollie's room, the three of them sat together on the bed. The Seashell soundtrack played softly in the background, as Ollie, in a rare moment of physical connection, rested his head against Maya's shoulder. Ethan hummed their special note and Maya joined in, creating the harmony that had become the heartbeat of their home. As the lights dimmed at 8:40 p.m., the family breathed in sync, each finding their place in the quiet rhythm they'd created together. Outside, the ocean waves crashed against the cliffs in their ancient pattern. Inside, a new family had found its own perfect rhythm, one of patience, understanding, and love. In the gentle darkness, Ethan reached for Maya's hand and held it firmly in his own. There would be challenges ahead, certainly, but they would face them together, always keeping Ollie at the center of their circle. Some things, Ethan realized, didn't need to be spoken aloud. Like the hum that calmed Ollie's spirit, the love growing between them resonated in the quiet spaces, in the small gestures, in the daily rhythms they created together. It was enough. It was everything. 3 weeks had passed since that special night when Ethan asked Maya to build a life with them. The October morning was crisp as sunlight spilled across the kitchen floor, where Maya prepared breakfast. The routine had become second nature now. Yogurt and fruit in separate small bowls, Ollie's favorite blue cup filled halfway with apple juice, soft music playing in the background. Ethan entered, his hair still damp from the shower. He slipped his arms around Maya's waist and kissed her cheek. "Morning," he murmured. "Ollie still asleep?" Maya leaned back against him briefly. "Just stirring. Mrs. Keene is helping him pick out clothes." Their relationship had grown slowly, carefully, each step taken with Ollie in mind. They kept displays of affection gentle when Ollie was present. Hands saved deeper conversations for the quiet evenings after he was asleep. "Remember, we have that parent meeting at the school today," Maya reminded him. 10 o'clock, Ethan nodded. They had decided to try a special half-day program for Ollie, at a school that specialized in children with sensory needs. Today would be their first meeting with the teachers. "Nervous?" Maya asked, recognizing the slight crease between Ethan's eyebrows. "A little," he admitted. "It's been a long time since Ollie was in any kind of school setting." "We've prepared him well," Maya assured him, "and we'll be right there with him for the first few days." Soft footsteps padded into the kitchen as Ollie appeared in his favorite blue shirt and grey pants. His hair was neatly combed, and he carried his small backpack, part of their preparation for school. "Good morning, buddy," Ethan said warmly. Ollie approached the table and sat in his usual chair. He tapped twice, their signal that was now as natural as breathing. Both Maya and Ethan hummed in harmony, a sound that had become the heartbeat of their home. Mrs. Keene entered with a proud smile. "He picked out his clothes all by himself today." "That's wonderful," Maya beamed at Ollie. "Great job." "The communication cards are in his backpack," Mrs. Keene added. "And I packed his noise-cancelling headphones just in case." They had spent weeks preparing Ollie for this new experience. Maya had created picture cards showing the school, made a social storybook explaining what would happen there, and practiced short separation periods to build his confidence. One step at a time, Maya had reminded Ethan when he worried. "We don't expect perfection." As they ate breakfast together, Maya couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. 3 months ago, this peaceful morning would have seemed impossible. Now it was their daily reality. The Sunshine Learning Center was housed in a low modern building with large windows and a colorful playground. Ethan parked in the visitor's spot, then turned to look at Ollie in the back seat. "Ready for our meeting, buddy?" Ollie clutched his backpack tightly, but didn't show signs of distress. Maya had played recordings of school bell sounds and children's voices for weeks to help him prepare for the new noises. Inside, they were greeted by Ms. Parker, a friendly woman with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes. "You must be the Hale family," she said warmly. "And this must be Ollie. I'm so happy to meet you." She knelt to Ollie's level but didn't force eye contact. "We have a special quiet corner all ready for you when you visit on Thursday." Ethan glanced at Maya, impressed by Ms. Parker's approach. They followed her to a classroom filled with natural light. Low shelves held neatly organized toys and learning materials. In one corner was a small tent with soft pillows. "That's our quiet space," Ms. Parker explained. "Children can go there whenever they need a break from stimulation." As they talked about the program, Maya shared their communication techniques. Ms. Parker listened intently, taking notes and asking thoughtful questions. "The hum technique is fascinating," she said. "Would you mind demonstrating?" When Ollie tapped his knee, Maya and Ethan hummed together. Ms. Parker watched Ollie's response with professional interest. "Beautiful," she said softly. "You've developed something truly special." As they toured the rest of the school, Ollie stayed close to Maya, but showed curiosity about the sensory room with its bubble tubes and soft lighting. "He's doing so well," Ethan whispered to Maya. "No signs of distress at all." "We've prepared him," Maya replied with a smile. "And he trusts us." On the drive home, Ethan reached across the console to squeeze Maya's hand. "Thank you for making this possible." "We did it together," she reminded him. In the rearview mirror, she could see Ollie looking out the window, calm and content. "Another small victory to celebrate. How does pizza sound for our Thursday tradition?" Ethan asked that evening as they finished dinner. Thursday night had become their official family night, always the same simple meal, followed by quiet games or stories. The consistency gave Ollie comfort, while allowing them to build special memories. "Pizza sounds perfect," Maya agreed. "Plain cheese for Ollie, veggie for us." After dinner, as Maya supervised Ollie's bath time, Ethan slipped into his office to make a phone call. When he returned, his expression was serious. "Everything okay?" Maya asked as they sat together on the sofa after Ollie was asleep. "That was Noah," Ethan explained. "The company board is concerned about the product launch next month. They want me in New York for meetings, 3 days, starting Monday." Maya processed this information. "That's your first trip since I arrived." Ethan nodded, running a hand through his hair. "I've been putting it off, but I can't anymore. The launch is too important." "We'll be fine," Maya assured him. "Ollie and I have our routine." "But he'll miss you." "I'll miss you both like crazy," Ethan said, pulling her close. "Think you can handle Ollie's first school day without me?" "It's scheduled for Thursday." Maya felt a flutter of anxiety. That first school day was a milestone they'd planned to experience together. "Of course," she said with more confidence than she felt. "We've prepared for this. I'll take lots of pictures." Later that night, as they lay in bed talking quietly in the darkness, Ethan's worries spilled out. What if he has a meltdown at school? What if the other kids are unkind? What if Maya placed her finger gently against his lips? What if he loves it? What if he makes a friend? What if this is exactly what he needs to grow? Ethan smiled in the darkness. "How do you always know what to say?" "I just remind myself that fear never helps," Maya said softly. "Faith in Ollie does." She curled against Ethan's side, listening to his heartbeat. Their relationship had deepened naturally over the weeks, each day bringing them closer. They moved at Ollie's pace, careful not to disrupt his world with too many changes at once. "I've been thinking," Ethan said hesitantly, "about making things more official between us." Maya's heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "I mean eventually, when the time is right," Ethan clarified. "Nothing rushed. But I want you to know that's where my heart is heading." Maya smiled in the darkness. "Mine too. But Ollie first," they said together, their new family mantra. Sleep came easily that night, wrapped in the warmth of possibilities. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Ollie stood in the driveway watching as Ethan loaded his suitcase into the car. "I'll be back on Wednesday night," Ethan promised, kneeling to Ollie's level. "Just 3 sleeps," he demonstrated with his fingers. 1, 2, 3. Ollie's face remained serious, but he didn't show signs of distress. Another sign of his growing resilience. "We'll call every night before bedtime," Maya reminded him. "And we'll keep all our regular routines." Ethan hugged Maya tightly. "You've got this," he whispered. "We've got this," she corrected with a smile. As Ethan's car disappeared down the driveway, Maya turned to Ollie with forced brightness. "Breakfast time. Special Monday pancakes, remember?" They followed their usual morning routine, with Maya keeping everything exactly as it would be if Ethan were home. Structure and consistency were their best tools for managing change. By afternoon, however, Ollie began showing signs of anxiety. He tapped more frequently, seeking the reassurance of Maya's hum. During quiet time, he kept glancing at the office where Ethan usually worked. "Daddy's on a trip," Maya explained gently. 3 sleeps, then home. She showed him the visual calendar they'd prepared, with 3 empty boxes to mark off each day. At dinner, Ollie refused to eat, pushing his plate away and rocking slightly in his chair. "It's okay to miss Daddy," Maya said softly. "I miss him too." She hummed their special note, and gradually Ollie's rocking slowed. After several minutes, he picked up his fork and took one small bite. "Good job, buddy," Maya encouraged. "Small steps." That night, Ethan's face appeared on the tablet screen for their bedtime call. Ollie didn't look directly at the screen, but sat close enough to hear Ethan's voice as he read their favorite bedtime story. "You're doing great," Ethan told Maya after Ollie had gone to bed. "How are you holding up?" "We're managing," Maya said honestly. "He definitely misses you, but he's coping better than I expected." "And Thursday's school visit?" Ethan asked anxiously. "All prepared," Maya assured him. "Mrs. Keene will come along for extra support." After ending the call, Maya sat alone in the quiet living room. The house felt different without Ethan, emptier somehow despite Ollie's presence. In just 3 months, Ethan had become essential to her world in ways she hadn't anticipated. Tomorrow would be better, she told herself, one day at a time. By Wednesday evening, they had fallen into a rhythm of their own. Ollie had adjusted to Ethan's absence, finding comfort in the strict routine Maya maintained. Each night they marked off another box on the calendar. One sleep left, then none. "Daddy home today," Ollie said at breakfast, one of the rare full sentences he spoke. Maya's heart leaped at his words. "That's right. Daddy comes home tonight after dinner." The day passed in a blur of activity as Maya prepared for both Ethan's return and Ollie's first school day tomorrow. She washed and ironed Ollie's favorite blue shirt, packed his backpack with comfort items, and reviewed the social storybook about school one more time. When Ethan's car finally pulled into the driveway at 7:30 p.m., Maya felt a rush of relief so strong it surprised her. She hadn't realized how much tension she'd been carrying until it lifted from her shoulders. Ollie ran to the door, another unexpected movement, and watched through the window as Ethan approached. "Someone missed you," Maya said with a smile as Ethan entered. "I missed you both like crazy," Ethan replied, dropping his bag to embrace them both. That night, after Ollie was asleep, Ethan and Maya curled together on the sofa, talking quietly about the past 3 days. "You did amazingly," Ethan told her, stroking her hair. "I knew you would." "We managed," Maya said modestly. "But we're better when you're here." "The whole time I was in those meetings, all I could think about was getting back to you both," Ethan admitted. "This is where I belong." "How did the meetings go?" Maya asked. "Good. The launch is on track." Ethan hesitated. "They want me to consider relocating to the New York office permanently." Maya sat up straighter. "What? You never mentioned that possibility." "Because it's not happening," Ethan said firmly. "I made it clear that my family is here. My life is here." The word family hung in the air between them, filled with meaning. "Are you sure?" Maya asked. "That's a big career decision." "Some things matter more than career," Ethan replied simply. "You and Ollie matter more." Maya leaned her head against his shoulder, warmth spreading through her chest. "We're really doing this, aren't we? Building a life together." "One day at a time," Ethan agreed. "And tomorrow is a big one. Ollie's first day of school." "Just the half-day program," Maya reminded him. 2 hours to start." "He's ready," Ethan said with newfound confidence. "We all are." Thursday morning dawned bright and clear. Ollie sat at the breakfast table wearing his carefully ironed blue shirt and grey pants. His backpack waited by the door, packed with his comfort items, communication cards, and a small family photo that Maya had laminated. "Ready for school, buddy?" Ethan asked gently. Ollie tapped twice, their signal, and both Maya and Ethan hummed in response. "We'll be right there with you," Maya assured him. "And if it feels like too much, we can leave early." No pressure. Mrs. Keene appeared with her camera. "First day of school photo," she announced. "Stand by the front door, all 3 of you." They posed together, Ollie standing between Maya and Ethan, his face serious but calm. The camera captured more than just their image. It captured a moment that had once seemed impossible. "Look how far we've come," Ethan whispered to Maya as they walked to the car. The drive to school was quiet, with Ollie watching the familiar landmarks pass by. They had driven this route several times in the past week, helping him become comfortable with the journey. At the school, Ms. Parker greeted them warmly. "Welcome, Molly. We're so happy you're joining us today." Several other children were already in the classroom, engaged in quiet play. One little girl with pigtails looked up curiously as they entered. "That's Emma," Ms. Parker explained. "She's been excited to meet you, Ollie." Ollie stayed close to Maya as they toured the classroom again. Ethan carried the backpack, ready with comfort items if needed. "Remember, you can go to the quiet tent anytime you need a break," Maya reminded Ollie, pointing to the cozy corner. When it was time for Maya and Ethan to step away, Ollie's eyes widened with anxiety. "We'll be right outside," Ethan promised, kneeling to Ollie's level. "Just in the parent room. Miss Parker knows our special hum." As if on cue, Miss Parker hummed their familiar note. Ollie's shoulders relaxed slightly. 2 hours, Maya reminded him, showing her watch. Then home for lunch. They left Ollie sitting at a small table with paper and crayons, Miss Parker nearby. It was the hardest thing Maya had done since arriving at the Hale home, walking away when every instinct told her to stay. In the parent room, Ethan paced anxiously. "Do you think he's okay? Should we check?" "Give him 15 minutes, Maya advised, though she felt the same worry. He needs a chance to adjust. Those 15 minutes felt like hours. When they finally peeked through the observation window, they saw Ollie still at the table, carefully coloring. The little girl with pigtails sat across from him, working on her own drawing. "He's doing it," Ethan whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "He's actually doing it." Maya squeezed his hand, too moved for words. The 2 hours passed without incident. There were moments when Ollie sought the quiet tent, but he returned to activities on his own. When it was time to leave, he even allowed Emma to show him her drawing before saying goodbye. In the car heading home, Ethan and Maya exchanged looks of wonder. Ms. Parker said he did better than she expected for a first day, Maya said. "No meltdowns, minimal anxiety. Did you see him with that little girl?" Ethan marveled. He actually looked at her drawing. Ollie sat quietly in the back seat, tired but calm. The backpack with his comfort items remained unopened. He hadn't needed it. "Pizza night still on?" Maya asked as they turned onto their street. "Absolutely," Ethan confirmed. "We have a lot to celebrate." That evening, as they shared their traditional Thursday pizza dinner, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. Ollie flinched at the sound, but quickly recovered when Maya hummed their note. "That's probably Vanessa," Ethan explained. "She wanted to hear about Ollie's first day." Sure enough, Vanessa stood at the door, elegant as always, but with a warmth in her expression that had been missing in the early days. "How did it go?" she asked eagerly, kneeling to give Ollie a gentle hug. "Better than we could have hoped," Maya replied, inviting her to join them for pizza. As they shared the details of Ollie's day, Vanessa listened intently, her eyes shining with pride. "I never thought this would be possible," she admitted. "Back when I left, I was so afraid he'd never—" She trailed off, emotion overcoming her. "We've all grown," Ethan said kindly. "Ollie most of all." "It's because of you," Vanessa said to Maya, reaching across the table to touch her hand. "You changed everything." Maya shook her head. "We did it together. All of us." After dinner, as Ollie showed Vanessa his school backpack, Ethan pulled Maya into the kitchen. "I've been waiting for the right moment," he said quietly. "And somehow tonight feels right." "What do you mean?" Maya asked, puzzled. Ethan took a small box from his pocket and opened it to reveal a simple, elegant ring with a single diamond. "Maya Brooks, will you marry me and make our family official? No rush, no pressure. Whenever the time feels right for all of us." Maya's breath caught in her throat. "Ethan, I know it's only been 3 months," he continued quickly, "but I've never been more certain of anything. You belong here with us." From the doorway came a small voice. "Yes." They turned to find Ollie standing there, watching them with those serious blue eyes. Behind him, Vanessa and Mrs. Keene waited, both smiling through tears. "Did he just—" Ethan whispered. Maya knelt down to Ollie's level. "Ollie, do you want me to stay and be part of your family forever?" Ollie tapped twice, their special signal, and then added softly, "Yes." Tears filled Maya's eyes as she looked up at Ethan. "Then my answer is yes, too." "Yes to both of you." Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger, then lifted Ollie into his arms. The three of them stood together in the warm kitchen light, a family circle complete at last. Ollie first, Maya whispered, touching her forehead to Ethan's. Always, he agreed. But now it's Ollie and us. Later that night, after Vanessa had gone home with promises to help plan whatever celebration feels right for Ollie, and after Ollie was tucked into bed, Maya and Ethan stood on the back patio under the stars. "Are you sure?" Maya asked, still hardly believing the evening's turn of events. "This is fast by most standards." Ethan took her hands in his. "By most standards, none of this makes sense. A tech CEO, an autism specialist without formal degrees, and a little boy who speaks through taps and hums. But it works, we work. We found our rhythm together." Maya smiled, leaning into his embrace. "Our quiet rhythm." "Exactly," Ethan murmured against her hair. "Some people search their whole lives for what we found in 3 months." In the house behind them, the soft glow of Ollie's nightlight shone through his bedroom window. The ocean waves crashed rhythmically against the cliffs below, a sound that had once seemed harsh, but now felt like the heartbeat of their home. "We'll take it slow," Maya said. "No rush on the wedding. Let Ollie adjust to one change at a time." "Whatever timeline works for our family," Ethan agreed. "That's what matters." Maya looked up at the stars scattered across the night sky. 3 months ago, she had arrived at this house as a caregiver, unsure if she could help the troubled little boy and his exhausted father. Now she stood in the same spot as a fiancée, a future wife, a future mother, part of a family she had helped build with patience, understanding and love. "Thank you," Ethan whispered. "For what?" Maya asked. "For hearing our silent needs," Ethan replied. "For teaching us to communicate in new ways. For showing us that love doesn't always need words." From inside came the soft sound of Ollie humming their special note in his sleep, a sound of comfort, of security, of home. Maya and Ethan smiled at each other in the moonlight, their hearts beating in perfect harmony. They had found their rhythm together, and it was more beautiful than either of them had ever imagined possible. In this quiet moment under the stars, with the people she loved sleeping peacefully inside, Maya knew that she had found everything she'd ever wanted, not in grand gestures or dramatic moments, but in the gentle, quiet rhythms of everyday love. The end.